Hello.
Hey, how are you? Guys, this is
Oh,
Joe Brodsky. Hello,
hello.
hello. We're waiting for our other guests to
Jody Shark Lopez.
Joe Shark Lopez and Lisa Lopez. And as
Joey's
well.
yeah.
Joe and I was just chit-chatting before we came on, and so we
I'm
can
not
go
used
ahead
to
on and
this.
continue. Everybody knows Joe already. They know you already.
Okay. Uh, yeah, we were chit-chatting about RICO, about the RICO case. And that's what makes this case so unusual for everybody that's following it, is that you're saying everybody's going, well, they can't prove that he did this or he can't prove that he did that. And that's why they're going with the RICO case, because they can't prove it. So they're trying to prove a racketeering enterprise that was formed to do illegal acts.
Mhm.
And that way they don't really have to prove that he did any of these things beyond a reasonable doubt. They just have to prove the existence of the enterprise and that the purpose of the enterprise was to do illegal things, and that's a RICO. That's a RICO charge, and that's
You
what's
said
kind
they
of
don't have.
unusual.
You said they
Yeah.
don't have to prove it without a reasonable doubt. Then why did the judge emphasize that they
Well,
had?
she has to prove they have to prove the elements of the RICO Act. They have to prove that there was an enterprise beyond a reasonable doubt. They have to prove certain acts in furtherance of the enterprise. That he was a member of the enterprise, that he directed the enterprise, things that it was for an illegal purpose, which they're saying was to get underage girls. They have to prove that. But as far as an individual, um, statutory rape or individual deviant act, they don't really have to prove that particular act. It's very strange. A lot of lawyers even have a hard time wrapping their head around it because it's so unusual. But so don't feel bad if you have a little trouble anybody having trouble understanding it. But just remember that the essence of a RICO charge is the agreement to have an enterprise to do illegal things. Like, think of it like a mob family, right? We're all joining a mob family in order to extort people and pull all sorts of different illegal bank robberies or extortion or whatever. And that's the purpose of the Banana crime family. So if you're a member of the Banana crime family, then you're responsible for anything bad that might happen. And and that goes into the sentencing. But they don't have to prove that the boss of the Banana crime family did one damn wrong thing. He's literally, hey Joe.
Hey Joe.
Yep. How you doing?
How you doing?
Hey Dad. I was like, we're trying. So Joe, explain RICO, please, because that's the hard part here. Joe's, how many RICO trials have you done? You think? Juries?
10, 15.
15, probably, yeah. That's a lot, actually. So go ahead, explain.
All RICO is it's a conspiracy that has multiple layers of other conspiracies in it. I'll give you a classic example. If you're involved in a drug deal and you use a stolen car and somebody else provided the stolen car to you, you probably can't make one case out of it. With RICO, you can take various different criminal acts that other people do and put them all together under one umbrella to make one giant conspiracy.
Right.
That make sense?
Well, what about the fact that they don't that the essence of the violation is the enterprise, is the formation of the enterprise to do the illegal act, even if they have trouble proving it a specific illegal act by Kelly. They don't have to prove he did anything wrong. He just have to prove that he did. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Long time. How you doing? You understand what I'm saying, Joe? Like the case against Kelly about doing specific legal things. They're not very strong cases that he did any specific illegal act.
Well, he doesn't have to do the illegal act. He just has to agree that others will do the illegal act. That's the essence of the conspiracy. Right. It's an agreement. So under a RICO, you don't have to do any illegal act. But if you agree that two or more other people will do an illegal act, then you're part of the RICO.
So like procuring underage girls for sexual activity under the Mann Act would be what they're trying to show. Not that he particularly did it, but that he had other people procure them.
That's correct. That he had other people do that for him, or that they did it and he did, and he agreed to it,
or in furtherance of the enterprise. Right.
It has to be in furtherance of the enterprise, and here it seems the enterprise is the forming of an entourage using managers and other employees or people at R. Kelly's direction.
Now, how is all this stuff coming in about? They have a lot of stuff coming in about. It seemed irrelevant that may paint him as a very bad guy, having these girls supposedly obey certain rules, like they can't go to the washroom or can't eat.
I mean, that's not illegal. What's illegal? All that stuff is great window dressing that the prosecutors can use and try to say how bad of a person R. Kelly is. These people agreed to do it. They went there. They were adults. I don't see how that becomes a criminal event in a criminal enterprise if they did this voluntarily. I've seen this Mann Act used in other cases, but it's usually restricted to people who are actually dragging prostitutes or biker girls or dancers from one place to another. Here, nobody's dragging anybody anywhere. They are voluntary participants in whatever it is that they want to do by being a groupie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're able to dirty them up. Yeah, they're dirtying them up. I mean, the first witness, they spent so much time on things that really had nothing to do with any specific illegal act, but they just kept going, for like a day and a half about, the rules in the house and how they had to call him daddy. And
that's not, none of that's illegal. I don't see
it's not.
It's illegal.
But it's all coming in. It's all coming in.
I mean, if they were unlawfully restrained, that's one thing, but I don't see any unlawful restraint anywhere. It seems to me that the real issue, I think, that he has to come and really look at head on, and Lisa knows a little bit more about this, is the age issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the age, if you bring somebody across state lines that's not underage, that's an issue. That becomes an issue. That's a violation of the Travel Act as well as the Mann Act.
Okay.
And that woman lied to him when she first met him. That first witness lied to him about how old she was.
Mm-hmm.
And she admitted, she said she was of age when she first met him, and she chose to stay there with him and participate. She was attracted to his fame and his notoriety.
A lot of this stuff should have been dealt with pretrial motions. I mean,
well, there was at least one motion filed, but it was denied, and it was filed late. I'm not sure if that had any impact on it, but
there were almost no motions to suppress, no motions to suppress evidence at all.
No, there was a motion in regard to the enterprise that was filed attacking the enterprise, but that's a factual issue, so that's up to the jurors. I mean, these defense lawyers have to argue there is no enterprise. This is the music industry. This is common custom and practice. This is not illegal. This is what happens when musicians travel. They have these groupies, and these groupies hang on, and whatever these groupies do with them is consensual. Nobody is forced anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Let's say that R. Kelly committed all these depraved acts that they say that he committed. So what? Who cares? It's not illegal. Is it disgusting? Maybe to some people it might be, but it isn't illegal. I think that the government is going to have a hard time in this case proving that this was an enterprise consisting of people doing illegal acts.
Mm-hmm.
Or for the purpose of doing illegal acts.
That's right.
I mean, that's got to be the purpose of the enterprise.
Right. There has to be an agreement to commit illegal acts.
I mean, Lisa, you've tried the RICOs before. What do you see as? I mean, they're trying to dirty them up. Do you think that's going to work?
Well, sure. I mean, no, I don't think it's going to work, because I think that what the defense has to show is just how these women were there on their own volition, and that he wasn't, preventing them from leaving, preventing them from, doing again, nothing prevented them from leaving. They weren't locked in cages. They weren't, given dog bowls of food. I think that the government's going to have a problem, trying to tell the jurors that this what he was doing was somehow wrong. I mean, they were all there to gain their own fame and their own notoriety, especially as what's going to come up in one of the more recent victims. I don't know which Jane Doe she is, but she's a 17-year-old that R. Kelly said he was going to make her the next Aaliyah.
Yeah.
So she's certainly there because for her own personal benefit. And if having sex with R. Kelly is one of the things that she's got to do, then what's the difference if it's R. Kelly or if it's somebody else or a tour manager or something? It's pro quo.
Yeah, what got me when oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead, because you're limited on time.
It's part of show business. That's just how the business is. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong is not the question. The question is whether it's illegal. That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking
illegal.
I looked at the case we tried together with Peterson. We did over 50 pretrial motions attacking different pieces of evidence and different theories that defense had. The prosecution had, and knocked out a whole bunch of them. Really limited their evidence. And here, none of that was done. So I think that's a big problem because, now they're just doing these objections and the judge is ruling on the fly rather than having done it, like we had. Remember that list I handed out that of all the rulings that they make?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they could and couldn't say or what theories they could or couldn't use or what evidence. And, and there's none of that. So they're doing it all on the fly, which is really kind of rough. It's hard for her. It's really hard.
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It seemed that the legal team was at odds with each other, and there was a lot of infighting that might have caused the lack of trial preparation. I'm not really sure. I wasn't there, but certainly there should have been some motions in limine that should have been filed that weren't filed, and I don't know whose fault it was, but now, like you said, they're on the fly making objections.
Mm-hmm.
And it could turn into a pretrial. It could turn into a post-trial issue for R. Kelly later on, if based on the fact that some of these motions in limine to exclude some of the testimony weren't filed. Before we go into federal trials, we are filing motions in limine left and right to try to exclude any kind of evidence that we feel is unfavorable to us, and it's all pretrial preparation, so you don't get caught when you're in the middle of a jury trial, with your pants down, objecting to these things that should have come out beforehand.
It's really easy to miss them if you don't prepare in advance. Trials are going so fast, you're doing so many things, it's so easy to miss them.
There's no time during trial. It's all figuring out what the evidence is and what the evidence is going to show, what the government's going to be trying to prove, and try to attack the government's evidence before it's even allowed for the jury to hear it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, from a legal perspective, this is a shitty case. Excuse me, I'm sorry for using that word.
It's okay.
It's the internet, man.
Honest to God, don't you have anything else to do in the Southern District of Illinois except craft a bogus indictment? You read the indictment. First of all, it's not very well written, and number two, it doesn't really say anything. It says that there's this enterprise and they got together and they brought these girls there. Well, so what?
Yeah, I think they're trying to. I think where they're going to be heading at is that they're not just trying to get girls, but specifically trying to get underage girls, and But how do you prove that, right?
And the other thing is, the Mann Act is, like I said earlier, is usually reserved for bringing girls across state lines, and you see it a lot in motorcycle gang cases. These RICO cases with the Outlaws and Hell's Angels. There's a bunch of cases out there that talk about the Mann Act, and it's the thing. But one of the other things too is in the Mann Act it has to be for an immoral purpose. Was these acts immoral? The other questions that the jurors have to answer. We certainly know it wasn't prostitution. We know that, so the Mann Act doesn't apply. So the only thing they really have is whether or not it was some type of debauchery with an immoral purpose. And again, somebody should ask these girls, didn't it feel good? Didn't you like it? Wasn't it fun? I haven't.
Didn't he make you happy?
You went back and you got more.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea of immorality. It's feels
But I haven't seen a cross yet to come into that. I mean, they should be asking, didn't she have fun? Didn't she have an orgasm? Wasn't it fun? I mean, these are the questions they should be asking him.
Yeah, that's true.
These are the questions they should be asking, so the jurors understand that these girls were having fun with our child. Mm-hmm. They were having fun. They liked it.
They did.
They sure did.
That's something else we were thinking about, is that when you do the right trial prep, like Lisa's talking about, you can sit back and you can actually think about what theories. You don't just necessarily have to go and make a motion eliminate regarding specific pieces of evidence, but you can do a motion regarding a theory. So you say, okay, you guys cannot introduce any evidence, for example, that says that it was for an immoral purpose, unless you can show that they weren't enjoying themselves.
That's right.
And then the judge would say, yeah, okay, that fits within the case law, so I'm going to enter that rule. So then that's the type of stuff that Lisa's talking about, that you got to do in way in advance in order to really cut the prosecution off at the knees. And that's all about trial prep, like Lisa's talking about, that she does really well. I mean, she does that all the time.
Yeah. So the only way
attack them at the beginning, so they're afraid of you going in.
The only way they make the Mann Act stick is if they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he knew they were minors and the minors were brought across state lines. That's the only way that they can win this case.
Well, they haven't proved that one.
No, and the witnesses are all over the place. They're getting impeached by prior inconsistent statements, and their testimony. The jurors are going to be instructed that they can look at all of the testimony. They can consider the prior inconsistent statements as to the credibility of the witness.
Right. Joe, regarding the Mann Act, does they have to be forced across a state line, or just have to bring them?
They have to bring them.
So against their will, or just provide their transportation?
Just it doesn't
all they
have
to
to
do
be.
is provide the transportation, bring them across.
That's all they have to do.
They can go freely. They can go. It can be done against their will. All they have to do is just cross the state line.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I mean, they used a law against that boxer,
Jack Johnson,
long time ago.
1919. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his girlfriend drove with him from New York to New Jersey or something like that.
That's correct. I mean, so.
But if a parent gave a consent, the parents gave a consent slip for them to be able to have her at his home. So that's with consent. There's no. I don't get how it could be a Mann Act.
What's the state line? Where did they come from?
Florida.
Well, then that's cross state lines, but how'd they get there, right? Did he provide the transportation? They come up on their own transportation.
Well, one time, Sylvia, her mother took her.
Yeah, her mother took her.
That doesn't sound like a Mann Act.
One time her mother took her, and then one time she went. So what he was saying about you have to prove that it's for the purpose of that, and that you can be willingly, or he can provide transportation. But that can be argued as they just know each other. Like that to me, that's not I don't see Mann Act in this. I just don't see no criminal, act in this. I said that early on. I mean, they come out, and actually when we was reading the transcript, these witnesses really telling on themselves. The defense really ain't got much to do but let them keep talking. Mm-hmm. And they telling on themselves. That's why they like, we're gonna wait and see. I lied about my age. Mm-hmm. Or I came back. I went, I left. So leaving and coming back automatically, that kills the kidnapping. Okay, that kills the kidnapping theory. You know what I mean? Oh, I left my shoes down the street, so I had to tell him I had to go down there and get it. But you're kidnapped. So now he letting you go get your shoes and come back. And then you said you went to the train station. He provided you transportation to the train station. You came back from the train station and came back on another day from the train station. I don't see kidnapping.
No, there is none. I don't.
I don't see no kidnapping. But I don't think when they did this, I don't think they thought that through. I really don't. I don't think that. I think that when these women testified and they came out, I think that the government and law enforcement did not think that these women were going to say the stuff that they said on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you telling a story and we sitting down in a room is one thing. But when you on the stand under oath and you got all these lawyers crossing examining you and stuff, you don't realize what you're really saying. And I think they're really telling the truth because they don't want perjury, but it conflicts what they're saying.
And Judge, Joe, you've had, and I had teenage witnesses. They're notoriously horrible witnesses. I mean, I did one murder case.
Well, they're young.
Yeah, that they were the worst. You know, it's like they were testifying like they were talking with their friends. You know, telling stories on the corner, and you know who can outdo the other one. So they kept exaggerating the story, and then you come back to them with the prior consistent statements, and they're inconsistent. They're absolutely destroyed. But I mean, at least that's my experience. I found
teenagers love to tell tales.
Yeah.
They love to tell tales. They love to boast. They love to outdo each other, and they like to lie.
Yeah.
But
Joe's gonna find out when his kids
teenagers.
grow up.
Now they're adults.
That's true. But they're recalling from what they
From when they
remember
were teenagers.
as a super fan, as an R. Kelly super fan, as someone who wanted to be with the singer R. Kelly.
I don't know. Okay, you guys are expert in this. So far, I'm quite sure Sylvia, gave you guys the transcript. So as you probably read it, or the parts that you did read, what is your personal take so far with the witnesses of Jane Doe number 4? The first
Lisa, did you get it? I don't think I sent it to you, Lisa. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
I didn't get it.
That was Pace. The first one was Jane. She got hurt on. She certainly got hurt on cross. I mean, she couldn't. You know, what did she say? There were, 4 phone. The whole thing about 4 phone calls about each of them less than a minute, and that she said were part of him trying to, get her to pay her off. And then there were she remembers specific dates of acts that he did. Like he could remember her phone number from what? He could remember her phone number from 5-10 years ago, but she couldn't even remember her own phone number, right? So I mean, it was obvious that she had been coached to say specific things about.
Yes.
But this case was crazy. I mean, Joe, how much prep work does the government usually do with a key witness? What would you say in hours?
Several hours.
Months.
Yeah, months.
I would say a lot. I would say more than hours. I would say weeks.
Weeks, yeah.
They would for their main witness. I mean, they would in a case like this. I would say expect no more than 5 reports from FBI to tend over to the defense lawyers to how what they said and when they were interviewed and things of that nature. I would say they spend a lot of time.
She said what? One time of 6 hours, maybe less than 6 hours, and
she said about 2 weeks. Well, the new one, not this one. The one that's Jane Doe. She said several weeks that they prep her.
It didn't seem like very much. That sounds more like it. But she also said the last time was like 5 hours, and that was it. And then before
check your email, Lisa. I just sent it to you.
Okay.
Check your email.
Yeah, these are long transcripts. But the first witness, she had problems with and she got beat up pretty bad.
Well, if you think the first key witness had problems, you're just gonna give up on the whole case with Jane Doe number 5. You just probably walk out the courtroom altogether and just throw your hands up like, just what the hell? What the hell is going on here?
That's the purpose. I think that's probably why they're dirtying him up so badly, because that's the only way they're going to get around that.
They will have to just go ahead and throw him in the mud then if they're trying to do him. Just pick him up and just go throw him in the mud, because these witnesses I shook my head, and I'm not even the professional. I'm not even a lawyer. I shook my head like, what the hell? This is what they spending taxpayers' money on?
Joe,
either. So that's a good indication what they might be thinking as well.
I mean, what did you ever, Joe? When you were, remember ever having a case where the government's main strategy was simply to dirty up the defendant? Did it work?
They try to dirty up the defendants as much as possible. This case is a little bit different because they've got plenty of witnesses that they're calling on that are saying, I got non-disclosure agreements. I had to sign papers saying I did this, and
yeah.
It's just it's a very weird case because you don't see cases like this in a federal courthouse. I mean, this case is really kind of a unicorn for a U.S. District Court, in my opinion, because you just don't see it. Had R. Kelly been bringing these girls across state lines and letting his friends, touch them and selling them to his friends, that's one thing. But all I see here is a bunch of people that formed an entourage that went with them. And so what if they stayed in different rooms? So what if they had to wear baggy clothes? So what if they had to lower their heads? So what if they couldn't talk to one another? They did this voluntarily. This is not coercion. This is voluntarily. They wanted to be part of the R. Kelly experience, and this is what it regarded. This is how he handled his girls, but what he liked to do with them and what they like to do with him.
And he's no different. He's no different than anybody else, and than any other controlling man and any woman that's ever been in a relationship with a controlling man. Is to
not you.
Don't walk out in tight clothes, and don't pull your hair back. And what's the difference if it's him or somebody or some other controlling boyfriend? I mean, there's not one woman that's listening to the show right now that hasn't been been told by somebody. Been told by a boyfriend, oh, I don't like that. Don't wear that.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you looking at? And vice versa. And it goes both ways. It's not only man to woman, but it's also, woman and man. What are you looking at? Why are you looking at her? Turn around and look at me. How is it? How is that wrong? I mean, that's
this is, by the way, this is not Joe and Lisa. I'm not like that at all.
I think we've all been there in some form.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. My first wife, yeah.
But even when her statement was contradicting, because she said he didn't want her to talk to anybody, but then she said that he always was. She was talking to the security, and he was the one letting her in, and he was the one that introduced her to come to the house, and he was the one that took her to the train station, but he never let you talk to anybody.
But what about the part when she said she slept with him because he had her to have a threesome with the other guy? That don't fit.
Well, I think she said she lied about that.
Not on the stand. She didn't.
She told that on the stand because she said she lied about.
No, she said he had her to have sex with what is his name?
We talking about
nephew.
No, we talking about Jane Doe number 4.
No, I was talking about 5.
Yeah, we still on number 4. We ain't even got to 5 yet. They probably just turn off their microphones when they see 5. They like, this is not even a discussion.
I just had a great idea. They should call Mick Jagger as an expert witness what it's really like on the road. So you want to hear how we party? That'll be it. Really? They think, R. Kelly, he ain't nothing.
What, 10 kids by 8 different baby mamas, or 8 kids by 10, or 8 kids by at least 8 mamas.
And he don't even know who their names are. He got kids by women he don't even know their names.
Yeah, that's the ones he knows about.
Who's that rapper that got a lot of kids too? Sylvia, was it a Future? He got like 8, 9 kids by 7 different women.
I don't know anything about rappers.
He don't even know. Look, my daughter told me he doesn't even know the names of them. The judge in court asked the names.
They have an operation to fix that.
He don't even know these women. He got babies with them.
That's an expensive habit.
Oh, somebody said Shorty Low.
Shorty Low.
Okay. Yeah, so rappers and rock stars, I mean, that's just the life you live.
Yeah, that's like right with the biker cases, Joe. It's like, the bikers that were doing meth. I mean, that's what bikers do, right? It's just, it's illegal still, but, to say that their culture, I mean, that's the culture. That's what they do.
This? I want to charge him with a crime, but I sued him instead. I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah, I want to say. No, wait a minute. Okay, let's go back to number 4. Now that Joe said that. Now you said I want to charge him with a crime, but I sue him instead. Now listen, she said that she initially sued him, right? And then she felt bad, and then she wanted to go back, and then he said something about give me the money back, and then she gave some of the money back to him. And then I guess, I don't know if he would deal with her again, but then she goes back and sue him again. And then she tells her girlfriend. So she tells her girlfriend initially about the lawsuit. Well, right. She signed a non-disclosure not to talk about it.
Yeah, and then she didn't get the money. Right.
Then she didn't get the money because the girlfriend recorded the conversation. And I guess she must have sent it over to his attorneys. And they was like, okay, she's in breach. So what he did pay her, she's supposed to have gave him some money back on that in exchange for him to be back with her.
Yeah. What about
several
this?
times?
What I'm curious about is the Aaliyah, the marriage certificate thing. I mean, it sounds like this guy that he went to Cook County and paid money to get a marriage certificate.
And he testified that R. Kelly had no knowledge of that.
Yep, he testified.
Yeah. And what was the purpose anyway? So he would have the spousal immunity. Is that the reason?
Well, he wanted to get his immunity first before he would get on the stand. So he held him up for hours before to make sure that he got his immunity with his attorney. So when he got on the stand, the judge let him know that he got his immunity and he wouldn't be charged with nothing or whatever. And so after he said he got his immunity, he said, he don't know nothing. He wasn't knowing nothing. He said nothing. Like, the man wrote a book. He was on a TV show, and he was saying something contrary to what he said on the stand. But that could have been for his book sale.
Yeah, that's true. Now, why? But what was the purpose of having them married? What was the reason?
Supposedly, he says that Aaliyah is in trouble. So he made an assumption that she was pregnant or something like that.
Okay. So what does the marriage?
She was never pregnant.
All right, but what does the marriage? What does the marriage certificate? How does it solve that? If getting married kept the woman from getting pregnant, I'd have a lot more money, So, what's the purpose of getting? Okay, she's pregnant. Let me marry her. I mean, how's that helpful?
My question is, why is the government bringing that up and she's deceased? I don't get it.
What do you guys think, Joe, Lisa?
He got targeted for some reason.
to show that she was underage, to show that he was trying to somehow manipulate and not get charged with a crime. Because didn't he take her to the Bahamas or something to get married because the laws were different there?
No, they got married in Chicago.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They got married at the courthouse in Illinois. And then he went back on tour.
Yeah, it was going to be in a hotel room, not at the courthouse.
Okay, so even in a hotel room.
Even better. So how does that help? How does that help him? If he got the fake ID, then why you need the marriage certificate?
Maybe he really loved her.
Okay,
maybe
that could be
loved her and wanted to be with her.
Yeah, that could be. He could have waited then. Well, no, I'm kidding.
But if he waits, then she can go with somebody else.
Yeah, there you go. But it doesn't seem like they're trying to say like he got the marriage certificate to get some sort of legal advantage,
Well, they were supposedly to be able to do an abortion without having the parents' consent to have abortion.
Well, that's all you.
But it was no baby, it was no abortion, no kids or anything.
Well, no pregnancy. Yeah. So that defeats all. This is the strangest stuff. Like, I'm thinking, does R. Kelly even know this stuff took place? Because it seems like a lot of stuff happened and he doesn't even know what happened. Like the marriage certificate, it doesn't have, that seems so far-fetched. How you obtain a marriage license and you're not even the groom that's there obtaining the marriage license?
Well, there's Cook County.
True. Okay, I have a statement from someone. That question it says Nicole open statement said it had to be consistent by Kelly took a break from singing to playing basketball. So how is it he using his singing career to operate an enterprise?
That I don't know.
Well, I think the government's position is because he is a singer, he formed this enterprise because he figured he could get away with it. So he recruited all these people around him to do the things that he was asking.
And I think even when he took the break to play the basketball, the enterprise itself wasn't dissolved. The enterprise kept going on, even though he wasn't, an active part of it. He didn't just dissolve the whole, the label and his whole, entourage. I mean, they were still there, just maybe on a smaller scale.
Right.
The enterprise was still running even without him.
You know what's amazing to me is that we're sitting here, we read all these transcripts and all this stuff, and we still don't know why he would have wanted to. There's no logical reason why you want to get the marriage certificate.
Right.
Julia.
We don't even know what we still don't. We have look. We got 3 lawyers on here, Sylvia, and we still can't figure out this marriage. The purpose of it. There was no baby. She's not.
No, it can't be for the abortion. No baby.
Right. And then he said,
"There's no spousal immunity. There's no spousal immunity."
What I originally heard was because it was a publicity stunt to get her, because she was starting a new record.
Well, that's not illegal.
Trying to get her music out. So, negativity sells. So she became popular based on that. Oh, you married a underage, whatever.
They go with her. Album.
That song was "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number." That was the name of the album. So.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound like a conspiracy to do an illegal act. It seems like a publicity stunt.
That's all it seems like. That's all it. That's what I said. It just seems like that. It don't seem nothing more.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
There was no baby. There was. He said it didn't happen. These are the prosecution's witnesses now. These are not people that. These are people that's supposed to make this man look like he's charged with the crimes that they're alleging that he's done. And they're falling apart on the stand. Now, they supposed to prep these people, weren't they?
Yeah, you better believe it.
Well, why are they crumbling like that? I mean, it's like the first 3 your first 3 witnesses, key witnesses, is crumbling like rocks on a mountain just coming down. Like, how does that happen with the prosecution? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Well, it happens a lot
like that.
They fall apart on the stand.
Yeah.
You can put somebody all day in a little room, put them on the stand, and everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, witnesses go south on people. I've had that happen.
Especially in a case like this, where there's so much pressure and there's so much notoriety and there's so much fame. They're out of their element. They're not used to, these are just regular people. They're not used to being in court of law and having the entire world, watching what they say and listening to what they
testifying is what I want to know.
Yeah. But why do you think, Joe, do you know there's a line of cases where the government can't, they call it an abuse of the RICO statute, where the government is trying to use it for a purpose for which it wasn't designed?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah. What's the, because that sounded to me kind of like what this was.
I think the defense raised that, said it wasn't an enterprise and that it was a misuse of RICO. But again, the judge ruled that it's the factual situation, and the jury can make that decision.
I mean, those cases all say it's a factual situation, because that would be good.
Yeah,
that's a good issue. That's a good issue for appeal. I mean, God forbid if he's convicted, that's a good issue for appeal. Because this is a statutory rape case. Either it is or it isn't, right? Either he had sex with an underage woman or he didn't.
Right.
They have to prove that, wouldn't they?
Well,
they have to prove that he knew.
Right.
Exactly.
He continued it, yeah. And he continued it anyway, even after he knew.
I mean, she could have lied to him for 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah. So so I think they can't prove that. They don't feel they can prove that. That's why they're trying to abuse the RICO statute.
Yeah.
To try to do it by throwing mud and see if they can make it stick. But it'll be an embarrassment to them if they lose this one. That's for damn
They're
sure.
gonna lose.
They don't lose many.
Well, this is gonna be one of them, Joe.
I mean, that could very well be.
Look,
That could
Joe,
very well
this
be.
is one of them. Joel, this is going to be one of them. They're going to
let's sure hope. And the government does not like to lose. They would rather dismiss cases.
I'm not sure.
They probably dismiss it before they lose. She's going to get so mad because the way they were acting.
The judge seemed like she was more mad than anybody.
You should see. Okay, there was a point when they were trying to hold off from showing a video, and she tried to bring up all kinds of cases of why they shouldn't bring the video. And she couldn't stop the judge from bringing out the video, and the video came out, and it shows the inconsistencies of her testimony. So the judge spoke about impeachment. So it's like,
we don't know
the strongest witness they have.
That's not a good thing for the prosecution when the judge is talking about impeachment.
Yeah, she was talking about impeachment.
Okay, so can you explain when the judge says something about impeachment, like allow evidence to go in because it may be grounds for an impeachment. Could you guys explain with your expertise on what that actually means to the chat?
What all impeachment means is that they said something different than they said before.
Mm-hmm.
So the jury instruction talks about if a witness makes a prior inconsistent statement, you can consider that in regard to the witness's credibility. So when you impeach a witness, it's real easy. A car case, the light was red, and then they testify at trial the light was green. Now they confront them with, well, you previously said it was red. Yes, so that's the impeachment perfected right there.
Oh, okay.
Does
Yes,
that make
were you lying then or are you lying now kind of argument. Yeah.
So you don't know what to believe, and that's why there's a jury instruction that says, you based on these number of impeachments, you determine how much weight to give this witness's testimony. And the more times she's impeached, the less times the jury should be likely to believe her.
Joe,
The less time the jury should be to believe her, I should say.
Joe, RICO instructions are notoriously
difficult?
Hard to understand. What do you see them looking like in this case?
Well, they're all pretty much the same because they are pattern jury instructions. And, the jury instructions are going to say that, first of all, you have to determine whether or not there was an enterprise. And that's what the lawyers have to keep focusing on. There's no enterprise here. This is not anything illegal here. It's not an enterprise. You might not like the fact that he forced girls to have sex with other girls or somebody got peed on, but that's not illegal. These are consensual adults.
What's the jury instruction definition of an enterprise?
Just say a group closely associated or associated in fact, which are towards a common purpose, which here is the Mann Act.
Right, and that's going to be.
That's difficult.
That's going to be
very difficult.
Yeah, that is. That is because, like you said, there's no, unless they got, him saying, we're all getting together, so you guys can keep giving me bringing to me girls under the age of 16. It's going to be hard for that illegal purpose. So, and then what? It's got to be across state lines. Like, that's the purpose of the enterprise, is to bring them across state lines. How are you going to show that? Purpose of the enterprise, if it's just young girls, it could be all within each state. I mean, it's just so convoluted. It really is.
Here in the indictment, they're charging you with acts that happen in all different parts of the country: Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. I've never seen a RICO.
Connecticut, even too.
Connecticut that uses acts that occurred in all these other jurisdictions. But it is federal court, and if there's a tie to New York, they can put it all together.
Right. But how are they, if he's doing in all these other jurisdictions, then why does he need to cross state line? He just has a girl in each port.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Right.
And
if he like underage girls, why they have to lie about their age?
Right.
If he like underage girls,
I'm going to text Farnell about that right now. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? If you like underage girls, why lie about your age? I mean, Jane Doe number 4 lied. Jane Doe number 5 lied. Everybody just lying about their age. I'm like, if you like underage girls like you guys claim, why lie about your age?
Right.
Why don't just say I'm 16, I'm 14, I'm 13? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or
they want to be with him. They want to be with him, and they don't want him to know that he's underage. Otherwise, then
he might say no.
They might get him in trouble, and they don't want to get him in trouble by telling them their true age.
Or you could say, a smart manager would get a bunch of 18-year-old girls who dress up like they're 14.
There you go.
He was but wait a minute. Did you know now? Okay, let's go back to Jane. I got a question here, Sylvia. We got to ask these people questions because.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the question.
Okay, so one of the questions that I have, I guess it's the RICO lawyer's question. It says, with Robert's racketeering charges based around bribery linked to Jane Doe 1, I guess that's with Aaliyah, and sexual exploitation of children, multiple Jane Does and John Does must the government show the jurors so far. The old tour manager has testified he had no knowledge of arranging a bride to court officials. What about exploitation? What has been proven? So I guess they were saying that the ex-tour made the one Demetrius that's supposed to have been with the.
Is she breaking up?
No,
Am
no,
I
she's
breaking
fine.
up?
No.
Okay. One, I guess, with the ex-tour manager that we were just talking about with the fake ID that testified that Rob knew nothing. What about the bribe charge with that? Because isn't he's charged with bribery in one of these indictments or charges or whatever?
Bribing witness.
Yeah, bribing a government official, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now that the witness Demetrius Smith has testified he knew nothing about this stuff. What does that say about that testimony or that charge?
It says that at the close of the government's case that the defense has to get up and ask the judge to dismiss that before they put on their case or before they argue the case.
But even if he has no
They call
knowledge
that
of
a
it,
directed verdict. So
but even if he has no knowledge of it, right? If he has no knowledge of it, but it's in furtherance of the RICO conspiracy, then it still counts, doesn't it, against him?
well, he has to have knowledge.
You have to have knowledge of the conspiracy, but not the specific act, right? Or am I wrong?
The act has to be foreseeable.
Reasonably
Okay,
foreseeable in the
Okay.
course of the alleged conspiracy.
Well, unless you're getting married to each one of these girls, then I guess it's really hard to show it's foreseeable, right? Yeah.
Right.
You know? So, yeah. The thing that keeps coming back to me is all these little issues we're talking about. All should have been done in motions eliminated. All should have been hammered out long ago. I mean, he was in there 2 years before the trial started.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that, Joel. Like, this is just crazy.
And there was plenty of downtime in COVID when there was no court and all the court dates were continued just because of COVID. There was plenty of time to hash out these motions. Once things started turning the corner and looking up. I mean, just because COVID hit doesn't mean that this case was suddenly going to go away and the lawyers didn't have to do any work. So that's unfortunate. There weren't more pretrial motions filed, but this our case we would motion it up beforehand.
Yeah, I can see you guys cranking out motions at the computer and filing them, because they were doing everything. They could do the motions mostly by remote Zoom connections, right? I mean, you've been doing motions in federal court by Zoom, right? Motions eliminated?
No, but I've done preliminary hearings over the telephone. Not so much. I've done sentencings over Zoom, but preliminary. Yeah, you could do it over the telephone or Zoom. It doesn't matter if it's just pretrial. They're available either way. They're actually old school. The AT&T conference calls in the federal building.
Again, I think that goes back to the dissension must have been within the defense team at the time, and I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but it seems like they had a lot of issues amongst themselves, and that R. Kelly eventually made the decision to go in the direction he wanted to go and he felt comfortable with.
Okay. Oh, at least they had how old is the youngest now, Joe?
5.
5? How old are you going to be when he starts college?
When she starts college?
She starts college, yeah. How old?
90.
Okay. Thank God you got a young wife. There you go.
80.
80, okay.
You better be careful, Joe. They might try to start you with a RICO.
All right.
You got a younger woman.
Better not take her to Wisconsin.
Yeah, don't take her on vacation. Okay, don't take her on vacation. Okay, I got a second question. It says, to your knowledge of Robert's case, has the government provided any substantial proof so far that R. Kelly had an organized group committing illegal acts? If so, how?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm still waiting.
I haven't seen it. He's got a manager and an entourage. Good deal. And a security guard.
Well, that's all of them.
That's it.
That's the whole group.
That don't seem like the Banana crime family to me, or the Hell's Angels.
But okay, well, if that's the case, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and you know what I'm saying, all the rest of them would need
yeah.
Well, because they have those too.
Kardashians would be in jail by now.
Yeah, they have those too. All of them have those. All celebrities
all the rock stars have it.
Yeah.
They all have an entourage. They all, these people follow and some of these bands. I mean, there's husbands and wives that are on the entourage too that travel to these different venues to see these bands and hang out with the band and be backstage with the band and be friends with the band. It's music industry. It's not a crime.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen anything coming close to a criminal enterprise.
I haven't either. I read the testimony of the witnesses. They're talking about having sex. So what? Since when is that illegal?
Well, in Southern District of Illinois, Southern District of New York, apparently. Except for unless you're Biden's son, then it's not.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden, then it's okay. Because they got him on with that laptop.
I personally think that the reason why they start charging these men with all this stuff is because of these organizations.
Me too.
The Me Too.
Because the Me Too.
Yeah, I've been saying that for 2-3 years. Like,
I agree with you.
they just invaded the court systems. It's like people like not looking at evidence anymore or the law anymore, and it's just going by what Me Too says. It says believe women. You know what I mean? Me Too
Right.
time's up.
Who's that celebrity guy that got supposedly grabbed some woman in New York? And then he got charged like 6 misdemeanor counts of sexual abuse.
You're not talking about Cuba, are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. Look at that tape. That woman was just following him. She was in the group. She was following him around. She wouldn't leave him alone. He reached over to do something else and maybe rubbed against her.
But we don't know what she said. She could have said, "Come touch me." She wanted him that bad.
Well, I don't even think she even touched her. I think it was just a mistake. I looked at the video. It's just he was just reaching across the table to get something. Maybe brushed up against her by mistake, and all of a sudden he's getting charged with 6 counts of sexual assault.
Well, these performers have to be careful because there's a lot of people out there that want to put themselves in that position to make money off of them, and that's something that here we kind of see that here with these hiring Susan Loggins to go after the money rather than calling the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and making a complaint. I mean, what does that tell you? That tells me they're more interested in making money than they are wanting justice as victims.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And they're gold diggers, all of them.
Treasure chasers. Listen, and look, I was just saying that they was talking about some Susan Logan, but you got them Gloria Allreds out there, and they have I just read an article where what's his name, the golfer. Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is suing one of his. You remember the women back in the day with Tiger Woods?
Yeah,
that was He lost. He had to pay his wife $100 million.
Yeah, but he paid the mistresses about $8 to $10 million each.
Wow, that's
so the mistress. She had Gloria Allred at the time,
right.
And she got a lawsuit for $8 million. Right? She got a lawsuit after the Tiger Woods incident. She said she netted after the lawsuit $2 million.
Wow.
So she's now broke.
Wow.
She went to $2 million that fast?
She's now broke. This was like but you got to think that was early 2000, Joe. That was like early 2000. That was about almost 10, 15, 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It seemed like it was yesterday, but I know, but it was a long time ago.
She needs a better investment advisor.
But she now says Gloria Allred messed over her and all this and that and took her money and all that kind of stuff.
But I got a guy out of prison who was wrongfully convicted after 30 years. I didn't get $8 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Damn.
I really, I'm not an R. Kelly fan. He doesn't do anything for me, but God, I hope he wins his case.
Yeah.
Like I said, this isn't about whether or not he went with a little, went with the younger one.
Overreaching. This is ridiculous to charge. I mean, my God, all the cases I've done in the federal building with these RICO cases, I've never seen such a powder puff case in my life. I mean, this is ridiculous.
How many juries you got under your belt now?
A couple hundred.
Over 200, yeah.
I've been around a long time.
Yeah, me too. I'm over 100 on those felony juries.
So over 200 jury wins?
No.
No, I wish.
Wait a minute. Hey, we need you.
No, not in federal court, that's for sure.
Yeah, only a few in federal court. But
Joe and I have tried a couple together.
we have.
We tried 3 or 4, I think. Yeah, at least over the years.
But the most I think the
But
most
your
important
cases wasn't like this, though.
Oh no,
Your
No.
cases was not like this, believe me.
there is
No.
no case like that.
Joe, tell me what would your approach would be in this case, as far as you, if you had this case?
I'd make these women tell these jurors how much they loved it.
You would too. You would. You would.
You know,
He ain't getting.
You liked R. Kelly's penis. You would suck it when he wanted you to because you liked it, right?
I said that last night on my show. Joseph, me and you think just alike because I said that commentary on my show last night.
How
These
many
girls were
orgasms
sucking
did
their
you
butt
have?
off, Joseph. They were
I've
sucking like
asked rape
that.
victims that question. You had an orgasm, didn't you?
Yeah.
These lawyers, you can't be afraid to ask these questions and embarrassing questions. You have to ask them. You have to ask them.
Well, that first witness's testimony was pretty graphic, so I mean, they started.
Well, she did. She made it graphic.
Yeah.
So I guess
What a lot of lawyers don't realize is sometimes you have to use the prosecution witnesses as your witnesses by bringing out all the good stuff, not the bad stuff. R. Kelly was nice to you. You loved the man, didn't you? You worshiped the man. Stuff like that. I mean, they've got to start digging in a little bit deeper into the psyche of these witnesses.
You're right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's true. And then I would have. I mean, man, I'm Joe does the. Joe's very famous for some of his closing arguments, like sitting in the jury box mocking a witness.
Yeah.
I mean, I like doing. Yeah, I like the trial prep. I would have papered this case with motions starting 2 years ago, and they would have had a good 100 motions plus.
I would have thrown the indictment in the garbage can in my opening statement. This is where it belongs, ladies and gentlemen. Kerplunk. That's one of my favorites. I like doing.
That was who did that? That was in the Gotti case. Cutler did that. Who's Cutler? Yeah, I mean, when you papered it, you just keep chipping away at what they can do with theories and evidence.
These lawyers
that
R. Kelly has. I mean, if they've been around a while, I mean, I don't know who they are.
No, nothing. They're competent. The problem was from what I
criminal
hear,
defense attorneys or
Well, what I hear from Farinella is there was that internal problems inside the defense team that they were prevented from filing a lot of motions that they wanted to present. And deadlines went by, and they were.
I know they missed a lot of deadlines.
And that's and now
it's inexcusable in a high-profile case.
Right, and then the judge said, well, why didn't you tell? I mean, one of the last hearings that Greenberg was at, when that all came out, the judge looked at Farinella and the two and Becker, and said, well, why didn't you say something? And that's going to kind of, when on appeal, that's going to be hard because when we've had this problem, Joe, right? You got 5-6 lawyers. It's hard to say, well, only one made a mistake. But what about the other ones, right?
Right.
So it's that's going to be a problem. But I don't know the actual details of it. Maybe there was something in writing that somebody had the right to veto any motions.
I thought that from the recap that I read for the opening statement from the defense was pretty. I mean, it was good. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was good. It hit the right points. It could have been a little more forceful, but not everybody thinks alike. But I thought that they hit all the right points in the opening statement. Hopefully, in closing, they can bring all this stuff back to the jurors and say, "What enterprise? There is no enterprise. This is all a fallacy. This is manufactured by the government."
Yeah. No, they did. I saw that in the opening. They went right into the misuse. They went right into the misuse issue, and that this is designed for a different purpose. Right. This is not an enterprise. They didn't hit all that. So
they did hit it. I mean, I think they did. They did, and I even posted on my Facebook page. I said I thought they did an adequate job. There's no question in my mind. Yeah.
And if the jury was understanding and was able to focus in on it,
jury.
What?
Hopefully, it's a smart jury.
Yeah. You saw the jury, right, Sylvia? We lost somebody.
I saw some of them. They seem like they were.
They keep dropping off like flies here. We keep dropping.
They're dropping off like flies. But I didn't see them, the faces and things like that of the jury at all. But from what my understanding is, they're up in age.
You think an older
I know,
juror?
Joe, you mentioned something about that certain jury, like I did see an older woman there. As far as, what their background is based on what I was reading in the newspaper. I know one of them is working the airline. The other one working the hospital. One is in it's just professionals. I heard a lot
Who
of
would you want in?
Not young. I didn't see anybody too young.
Who would you want?
What do you think about
jury?
that,
Joe? Who would you want in your jury?
I'd want professionals. I'd want people that have a little bit of education. I want people that have businesses.
Yeah, I think people who aren't going to be, who are going to understand business, like, it's the entertainment business.
Right, it's the entertainment business. I mean, they called it the casting couch for a reason in Hollywood.
Yeah, somebody's going to understand that, That's I think is true. So maybe older people might not be bad, even though, and everybody
Older
thinks,
people
well,
remember what Hollywood used to be like.
and they're not going to be shocked about, talk about sex, right, Joe?
No, I wouldn't think.
No, I wouldn't.
They
probably did it when they were younger,
I didn't see any donkey sex or any weird stuff at all here.
No, not in this case. Anyway.
No.
In other cases, yeah. I mean that's true. The closing is going to be. What do you think of the? I was kind of reading the U.S. Attorney's case. That I didn't see. I saw his opening. I didn't see anything really that he was that strong. It was just, it was almost like, they go to that camp, right? The U.S. Attorney camp, and they go through that shock course, that 90-day course that they make them all go. It was kind of like he was following the playbook. I didn't see him really anything spectacular.
It's a she. It's a bunch of she's.
She's all girls? Oh, my God.
All girls.
Chicago, too. In
all
Chicago,
girls.
they saw female prosecutors, too.
Oh, man.
Well, that's for a reason.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
What's the reason, Joe?
The reason is because they want women to be advocating for other women because that's the right thing to do.
Wow.
Because they supposed to believe each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Woman to woman.
No woman ever lied to another woman, ever.
Ever.
Never, right?
Women never lie.
Never
Women
to another
never
woman.
lie. Women never lie.
Not to another woman, absolutely not. No.
We always tell the truth.
I haven't seen that. I'm not seeing him. I'm not going out with him. I'm not interested in your husband. Oh man, it's going to be an interesting case. When is this one's going to take? This one's going to take 2 months, I think. How many witnesses do they got lined up?
I think they got like 6 key witnesses, and I think they had like 8 or 10 prior bad act witnesses or something.
Yeah.
Oh, the prior bad acts. Those are.
R. Kelly actually had the nerve to give out his cell phone number. I mean, really, is that what this case is about? To meet women? I mean, is that a federal
Can you imagine?
crime too, that I asked my chauffeur or my bodyguard, hey, see that cute girl over there? Give her my number. How is that a federal crime? I mean, really, how is that a federal crime?
Yeah. But he was a married man, Oh, what is it? He is. What do they put the prior bad act stuff? I hate that. How much is? I hope they don't get too much of that in. That all should have been gone through by pretrial motion.
So he had a lot of girls. He was collecting girls. I mean, how is that a federal crime?
That's what I'm saying. What's the prior?
Because
prior
he had
bad
a
act?
lot of girls.
But they're going to say that shows that he was trying to. That was part of the. That just goes to prove the modus operandi. The purpose of the enterprise. That's what they're going to say anyway. Somebody
Well-
put me in timeout, and you know, looking at all these chat things. I'm new to this internet stuff. Great.
I mean,
Anyway, go ahead.
they had. I mean, I think you know the jurors really need to hear a little bit more on cross-examination
Mhm.
about you know the fact that nobody forced them to do any of this, that they did it, they were happy to do it, they called him daddy, and they like calling him daddy. I mean, that's not a federal crime either.
Look,
I mean,
I call
I'm
you
having a hard
daddy if you
time-
can give me $5,000 every month, and I have.
Sure did. I call you
Call you
daddy
daddy?
too. I call you whatever you want me to call you.
Right.
Yeah, I'll call you Shirley.
They talk about they talk about hush payments. I mean, what are the hush payments? I mean, hush payments for what? What did he do wrong?
Well, I know in Hollywood, in the entertainment business, when you get a non-disclosure agreement, you know, they got those on like rip pads. They're getting those things out all the time for anything. You want to talk to an agent, you get a non-disclosure. You want to talk to a producer, you get a non-disclosure. I mean, they do those things all the time. They're going to try to make it look like an evil thing, but I mean, those are so common.
Okay, I have a question. So Jane Doe number 5 testified about her parents putting her up to seduce or date or traffic or prostitute her out, however you want to call it, to get at R. Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could the parents be in the trouble in this
No,
case?
probably not.
Probably not.
If they're doing it for money, what? How long would this take place?
Well, what if they said, because I heard they were saying that she testified that if R. Kelly was effing their daughter, so since you effing my daughter, you got to give me $20,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like they violated the Mann Act.
Sound
What's
like that to me.
Absolutely.
What's the statute of limitations? I think that's an issue. They can't use prior bad act as a statute of limitations. And you know, I don't. Is there that also? Well, that's for prior crime. There's got to be it's got to wait. Prior bad acts has got to be at least something similar, close in time. It's got to have a similar purpose.
But if they have never been charged for those prior bad acts, how is it going to be proven they were prior bad acts?
Oh, that's the horrible thing about prior bad acts.
Yeah, they don't have to be charged. That's the problem.
Okay, but it hasn't been proven either.
Well, if it hasn't been proven, then they should make a motion to exclude it from the jury.
Right. You're not supposed to be able to have what they call like a trial within a trial. Either it's pretty established that it happened, but if there's a question that has happened, it shouldn't come in because you're not supposed to have a lot of little mini trials to prove prior bad act within a big trial. So that's all should have been taken care of on post-trial, on pre-trial motion, on motion to eliminate. I mean, you know, it's they should have made the government declare what its prior bad acts are a year ago, and give them a deadline so they can't keep adding more, and then start whittling down that list. And that's what you know what right? It's like there's the three big things in trials, right? Preparation, preparation, and preparation. Right? And that's what's missing there. And I don't think it's the fault of any of the current team. I can't wait till that letter comes out. After it's all over, you know, when they unseal all those letters.
Are they going to unseal them?
Oh, yeah. Joe, I think they have to, right?
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah. So you'll find out about what all the dynamics that went in place between the lawyers. All those letters that they wrote back and forth will come out. And that'll be interesting to see.
Well, I have a question here. They asked, what's the difference when Flavor Flav, I guess is the guy, when he had many girls in which some were young and some was older? I don't know what.
Well, then the purpose of the conspiracy or the enterprise can't be to get underage girls if they had older ones there, right? Just to get girls, period. Which is, you know, that's not illegal. Like Joe keeps saying, that ain't illegal, right?
No.
I don't see none of this. I think this is just a waste of taxpayers' money.
You're not kidding.
I mean, and this guy had to sit in those little jail cell, in that little jail cell for two.
Yeah, why didn't he get bond? That was ridiculous.
Because she's a woman. Me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, where? How's he?
I bet you she regret that now though, because just think about it. Listening to them witnesses.
Yeah.
Listening to them witnesses, she like, I kept this man in this cell for 2.5 years, and these are not even credible people.
Joe, you can tell them how. I mean, I can. If you the Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC, downtown Chicago, what those cells are like.
Well, they're small, and when he's there,
Oh God.
My office is right across the street from the MCC, and they said they would serenade R. Kelly all the time out there.
Really?
Yeah, the groups of people. Well, it's funny because there's a parking deck next door, and like the other day, it must have been some cartel guy's birthday because they had mariachis out there singing "Happy Birthday" and they're playing Mexican music on the parking deck. And then sometimes like one of the big gangbangers has a birthday. They got the girls twerking on the hoods on the hoods of the cars out there, and when R. Kelly's in there, they're singing R. Kelly songs to him, and serenading him.
But still, those cells are so small. They're all cement.
In there.
They're all cement.
I mean, he had bond in state court. I mean, and there's no reason the Fed should lock him up.
Okay, I got a question for you, Joe. Now, I'm going to say when, okay, because I'm being positive, okay? When he gets found not guilty in New York, what happens? Do he automatically go to jail in Chicago, or what happens?
Well, he's on bond in Chicago, so
not for the federal.
I understand that.
I bet you're going to drop the other.
But what happens is he's either going to go back to the state court or the federal court. I'm not sure who has the first writ on him. Mm-hmm. But if he's found not guilty, I'm trying to remember. I think he has Judge Leinenweber.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Liney will probably give him a bond.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I mean, he let one of my mob clients that had a really checkered past during the COVID crisis for compassionate release. I mean, this is an outfit guy that was caught on tape telling a debtor, "You better pay me, and I don't have the money." Well, look out your front window. What do you see? I see a lawn. He said, "Well, I'm going to cut your kids' heads off and plant them out there." And he still he let the guy out. So he's a really good judge. He'll look at it. And I'm telling you, if R. Kelly beats this case, you're going to see a big change in what's going on with these other prosecutors.
Yeah, that's true. Lionel Weber. I think you'll see that. I think they'll see them drop it because the last thing they Feds
is losing.
Is losing. And if they say they screwed it up in the Southern District in New York, they're going to say, well, they're not going to screw up in my district, so I'm dropping this damn thing.
Here in this.
Oh, don't laugh. They will. They hate.
They will just drop it like that.
Yeah, that's what it happened. I've seen that happen. Have you seen that happen too, Joe? Right?
I've seen it happen all the time.
Yeah.
They'll dismiss case. I had them dismiss a gun case they were afraid they were going to lose not too long ago.
So why don't they drop it now? Because they look like they're losing.
Well, they always think they're winning, so.
Okay.
The federal court's a weird place. They got a 99% conviction rate. So, can you make the 1.5% or whatever it is, 98.9 or whatever it might be. But, again, hopefully these jurors in New York are smart enough to see through this, that they can read these jury instructions, apply into the facts in the case. And I think they're going to come up with the conclusion that this is not a federal crime. Whatever it might be, it's not for us.
Yeah, it should be a state court. Where this case always should have been, if it ever was a case, it should have been a state court case for statutory rape.
And that's it.
And that's it. Either he buggered the little girl or he didn't. It's that simple.
Right.
And if he did, he's convicted, he goes to jail. If he didn't, or they can't prove he did, then there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's that simple. It doesn't have to create a criminal enterprise with, and go through all these machinations where they have to have a criminal enterprise with a improper purpose and 2 criminal acts and all the stuff you need for a week. You don't need all that. It's either he did it or he didn't. And if you can't prove he did it, you shouldn't have to go through creating things that don't exist like enterprises and stuff. to convict him. I mean, that's just there's something just totally unfair about that and wrong about it. Anybody that's fair and anybody that fair believes in fair play and justice, it just senses it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Either you can prove it's something or you can't, and there's no reason to try to play a game with the rules in order to get a conviction by taking something that Rudy Giuliani created to get mobsters and go back. So I think Joe dropped off too now.
Yeah, he's gone because he said he had to take care of something.
He's got to take care of his.
He's back. He's back. Joe's back. He made his statement.
Oh,
I
okay.
lost my
Joe.
He went to go see if the 5-year-old was still around. Right?
I can hear her. She's still around.
Let's see. How old's Rock now?
Rocco's 13.
13. He's beating the shit.
Yeah.
Beating the crap out of you by now. Yeah, Is he lift weights like you?
Yeah, he's 5'3", 160.
Oh man, he's gonna be in trouble, man.
He's pretty big. All right, well, I have to sign off now.
Yeah, me too.
So
well, it's been wonderful. Please come back. Please.
Yeah, just let us know. Let's
Lisa said she's coming back. Lisa already gave me okay. She's coming back.
Yeah, Lisa will be back. Lisa will be back. And
let's give us another 3 or 4 days of transcripts, and we'll talk about it.
I'll do that. As soon as I get this transcript, I'll get it to you guys, and you guys could come right back and give us some expertise from the Lord.
I hope your viewers were enlightened today and learned a little bit. Your viewers should know that we hope that R. Kelly beats the feds. Period.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
That's
it. What we want.
Thank you.
Even though I'm not a fan of his, we're all on the same side. And at this point, it's us against them. And this is an overreaching case. It should have never been brought. It should have went out on the motion that was filed. It didn't go out. Hopefully the jurors will come back with a not guilty.
Yeah, like I always said,
and I'm not
I don't know if he's guilty or not. I just think
I've always said follow the law. So
right.
That's right.
If they can prove a guy guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, that's fine. But there's no shortcuts around that, And if they can't prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt,
then cut him loose. Period.
Cut him loose. That's the bottom line.
That's the beauty of the United States of America, the only country in the world that has a system beyond a reasonable doubt. So.
That's right. That's right.
And people have died for that, for us to give us freedom. This has been going on for centuries. I mean, when you look at criminal justice and you look at proof beyond a reasonable doubt, all these things that these lawyers wrote way back when doctors were still using leeches to bleed people, this Constitution is still in effect. It still is good. It still is the law. And hopefully the jurors will follow it and find him not guilty.
That's right.
I traveled in Russia in the 1990s, and I saw some trials there because lawyer, and I wanted to see them. And trust me, after I seen what justice is like there, and I came back here, I kissed the ground because you have no idea how they treat you there. I mean, how you don't have a prayer. Everything's against you. You got to prove your innocence, and you're all on your own. But here it's a great system. As long as you don't let the government cheat, and that's why I always tell people, if you're on a jury, don't let them get away with doing anything other than proving their case. If they don't prove it, vote not guilty, and that's the end of it.
That's it.
Very good. All right, we'll see you later. Thank you,
Joe. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
You're welcome, guys.
And I'll see you guys again real soon.
All right, everybody, be careful out there. Go R. Kelly.
Go R. Kelly. That's right.
Yes.
Free R. Kelly.
Free R. Kelly. Talk to you guys later.
All right, bye, Joe.
Go lift weights with Rocco. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bye, guys.
Right now. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, bye, Joe.
Bye.
that was
All
nice.
right, guys, that was an awesome live. But guys, we're about to get off, and then we're gonna do the reading.
Okay, did you call your Demetrius?
Yeah, I text my Demetrius. He's gonna come in.
Okay. All right. Well,
when you gonna? I'm gonna close out for about 10 minutes, and then I'm coming back. Okay, guys. Did you guys enjoy this?
I've been doing the after show of your show. You know that,
okay.
right?
So do after show this one. You gonna do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or what?
No, I'm gonna do it late night. I've been doing the after show of this show.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to do the reading. My cast is coming back. So
Let me go ahead and pull my stuff together.
my other Canic is coming. Is Dom K? Are you doing Canic? Are you gonna be Kenny, Dom K? Or do I need a whole new crew? Do I need a whole new crew?
Who was okay? Let me ask you this: who was playing Gaddis last night?
Last night was I forgot her name.
She did it, and who was playing Geronda? Them two?
That's Rhoda. Rhoda's doing Geronda. That's Rhoda.
Rhoda and that lady that was playing Gaddis last night, man. I forgot that I was on here. They did it like so good, and she was sounding like a prosecutor too.
What's the name was good too this morning?
Who?
English accent.
That's my nap.
English accent.
I take my nap at noon.
Okay, we're about to go out and we'll be back, guys.
Okay, see ya.
We'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna set it up and I'll be back. Okay, later.